Welcome everyone to the High Tech Yeti series on how to create Dungeons & Dragons abilities in Minecraft. Today is Zelda Bomb Part 1. This is what the Zelda Bomb looks like when it's done. We can right click to place it. There's a cool fuse sound that explodes, nice explosion, good damage, and you can left click to throw it. Get a good view, nice, good damage, very fun. You can also make it do a lot more damage or more knockback very easily. But we also have a quantity bar, so when we throw them, we can run out, and when they're all gone, then they're all gone, and the item goes away. At the end, we'll also make it so that we have an item that you can pick up off the ground that'll give you 1, 5, 10, 15, or 20 bombs. Today in part 1, we'll first go over how I made the bomb in Blockbench and created the texture. Pretty simple. And then we'll make it so we can right click and place the bomb on the ground. We'll add a fuse timer and a fuse flame, and then we'll add the cool explosion and some damage. Alright, let's jump in. Before we start coding, we first have to create the bomb we're going to use for this. The kind of model you want to make is go to File, New, and choose Java Block or Item. This works perfectly in the Minecraft resource packs. And this bomb is quite easy to make, so I won't go over how to make everything, but if you can look at the individual blocks I have here, they are all just making a simple, not even that much of a sphere, but I like the blocky look. However, this right here is a fun little trick. I wanted to have a circle. What I did is I took one cube that I was going to make with that circle, and then I just copied and pasted that cube, so I had two of them. And then I rotated that cube once, and I had to make the cube the exact right proportions and size so that each time it rotated, it perfectly lined up the corners. So in Blockbench, if you hold down Control, you are able to move at 0.1 intervals, and you can also go into both position and size, and you can change those as accurately as you want. So for instance, 0.7 height right here, I could make that 0.7 111, and that would work, although I don't want that, so Control Z. However, when it comes to rotation, you're forced to keep things pretty rudimentary. As you can see, it changes by 22.5 each time. And if we go in here and try and do 46, for instance, it doesn't work. That's because Minecraft has some limitations when it comes to rotation. You're also only allowed to rotate on one axis when you're using this kind of Java block/item option. So for instance, if I try and rotate on the Z-axis as well, it'll tell me, no, you can't do that. You have to go to generic model if you want to do that. So I created a fairly simple sphere made of blocks based off of my favorite old version of the Zelda bombs, and a fuse, which is just 3 blocks with different amounts of rotation lined up. And to get them lined up perfectly, since the rotation is limited, I did have to go into some very specific numbers here, so you can see 15.058. just to get it looking perfect. Then go into paint, and the two basic options that we would use are the paint bucket or brush. And so I would find the color I want. I wanted blue, but let's say for instance I wanted pink. If I go to the brush, I could paint one little block at a time. And if I go to the paint bucket, I can paint it really quickly. And you can see over here on my texture, it is changing to what I needed. I do recommend that you go and look up a tutorial for Blockbench to make much nicer models than this, but this was something that I put together quickly and I like the blocky look. Once you have your model and your texture, I want to save both of them. So go to File and then Export, and then you want to choose Export Block/Item Model, and I call mine Zelda Bomb. I'll save it to desktop, and then you want to save your texture. Once again, I'll call it Zelda Bomb, PNG file, and once again to desktop. Awesome. So now what that created for us was the JSON file that will be our custom model texture for our bomb. And you can see it has everything here we need. The only thing we'll be changing is we can get rid of particles completely, and we'll change the location and name of the texture, but we'll cover that later. All right, now let's get into coding and make our Zelda bomb. So we'll first go back into Minecraft and create a few variables. Number 1, we need to be able to detect when you right-click with a carrot and a stick. Our Zelda bomb will of course be a carrot and a stick because that's the easiest way to sense right-click. When we get to a more advanced option later, we're actually going to switch to an interaction entity to detect both left and right-click. So I'll do scoreboard objectives add, I'll call it caret, and then I'll select used :minecraft.caret, and I'll choose caret and a stick. But what this does is whenever anyone right clicks with a caret and a stick, they will automatically get +1 to the caret scoreboard. All right, now let's jump into our data pack. In the blank data pack provided in the download below, you'll see the same thing I have right here, which is core and handheld items. I love to have one function that runs the whole thing, that's core. And handheld items will be the function that's in charge of all of the code for any handheld items that we create, such as our Zelda bomb. So I'll go into handheld items, and here we go. All right, so in handheld_items, I've already created the 5 different main sections for part 1. First, we're going to want to create the actual give command that we'll use to give ourselves the Zelda bomb. So once again, I'll jump into my favorite website, MC Stacker, and I'll go to /give and scroll down, and I'm going to give myself a caret on a stick. I want the custom name to be bombs. I want it to be unbreakable. I want custom model data, so I'll just put 1 there. I'm going to want custom data, so I can detect when I right click with this specific caret and a stick. And so I'm going to call that bomb:1. And then I want to hide all of the flags. All right, perfect. Copy this command. All right, so I'm going to save this command as a comment at the very top of our code so I can have it whenever I want. And now I have to make it so that custom model data will actually do something. In previous episodes, I've already covered the basics of this, so I'm going to do it very fast. In the provided resource pack called Zelda Bombs, I've already set up everything we'll need, but I will go over how each piece of it works and show you how I brought in the model and texture from Blockbench to actually be used in Minecraft with the custom model data. So go to Assets, Minecraft, and I have models, sounds, and textures, and then a sounds JSON file. But we'll do sounds next time. First, I'll go to textures, and we can ignore most of this. I'll go to item, caret and a stick, and here I've already placed the texture and I've called it 1. Let's find out why I called it 1. So I'll go back to Minecraft, go to models, item, and first I have the caret and a stick JSON file. So inside caret and a stick, I've already set up a whole bunch of different custom model datas, but I'm going to choose 1 because it's the first one, and that's nice and easy. And the naming structure that I use to keep this organized and make it easy is whatever custom model number I'm using, that's what I'll call the model file and what I'll call the texture as well. So we're going to be using custom model data 1, and you saw that I already called the texture inside the caret and a stick folder 1.png. And here it says that if I have custom model data 1, then in the model folder, in the item folder, and in the caret and a stick folder, there will be a model file called 1. And if I go into the caret and a stick folder, I have the model file called 1. All right, so this is basically what a normal caret and a stick file looks like. Not exactly, but close enough. Let's pretend that it is though, and I'll show you how to bring in our model file from Blockbench and replace all of this with what we actually want. And so if I go to my zeldabomb.json file, I'm going to copy all of it, go back to 1.json. I'm going to paste it below what I already have, scroll back to the top, and the one thing I actually want is this texture location. So I'll copy that, place, and then I can get rid of everything I already had. So all you would do to bring in your custom model from Blockbench is copy and paste the whole model file over to whatever custom model number you're going to be using, and then make sure you tell it the correct location of your texture. In my case, in the item folder, which you have to have as a caret and a stick folder, and a texture called 1.png. All right, perfect. Do File, Save All. Go back to handhelds, and I'm going to copy this give command. I'm first going to reload the resource pack, and then I'll do a give command. And here we go. I have my Zelda bomb. Perfect. And when I right click with it, I also get +1 in caret. Okay, now that we have our bomb and it looks great, let's jump into the bottom of code section in our handheld items. The first thing we want to do is we want to make it so that if any player ever has a score of 1 or more in caret, it automatically gets set back to 0. That way, when we right click with our bomb, it only does one thing and doesn't try and do it over and over again. So execute as any player, scores equals caret equals 1 ... Then at that player run, scoreboard players set at S, so this player, caret 0. Perfect. So now any player with a score of 1 or more in caret will always have it reset to 0, and when we right click, you'll basically not even see it happen. The most important part about this line of code is that it has to be at the very bottom of our code. We want it to be the very last thing that happens in this program. That's because over here, we're going to detect when we right click with the bomb, and we'll check and see if caret is 1 or more, because that means we right clicked. And if we right clicked while holding our Zelda bomb, we want to place the bomb. And then immediately, at that same tick, at the bottom of our code, we'll set caret back to 0. That way on the next tick, caret is now 0, and it won't try and place a second bomb. So back in our functions folder, we're now going to actually have to make a new function for placing that bomb. We could leave it right in here, but eventually this function will have several other features as well for when our bomb gets a bit more advanced. And so I want to actually create a separate function right now. I'm going to copy and paste handheld. I'm going to rename this to place_bomb, because the purpose of this function will be to actually place the bomb. Delete all of that. At the moment, we only want this function to do 2 things. And we're going to use MC_stacker to create those things. Alright, so back to MC_stacker. So what we want to do, when we right click, we want to place the bomb. What we're actually going to do though, is we're going to place an armor stand at our feet, and we're going to make the bomb the head of the armor stand. So let's do /summon, and we're going to summon an armor stand. So we're going to make the armor stand have no gravity, be invulnerable, and invisible. And that should be good. Next we'll go to head, and the item that it'll be wearing will be a caret and a stick, and the custom model data that we'll use is 1, so that way it'll be our bomb on the armor stand's head. Alright, let's copy that. We'll paste it into here for right now. And let's see what this looks like right now. Alright, so we'll do /reload. We're going to do /function, DND, and we're going to run our place bomb function. Alright, so our bomb is here. It looks good. Doesn't explode yet, but it's also flying, and that's not perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our command, and we're going to change this so that it actually goes down 1.5 blocks. /reload Minecraft again, run that function again, and there's our bomb. Awesome. Alright, so it looks good, but it's a little too small for my taste. Plus, it's a lot smaller than the actual model that I made. Back in our resource pack in models, item caret and stick 1, I'm going to add something else here as well. If we go to number 2, it already has these display options saved, and I want these display options. I'm going to copy all of this, go back to 1. There's a comma separating each new section. Perfect. And so now that I've added display options, I want to first make sure all of them are 1, 1, 1. And then when it's on the head of somebody, I want to make it a little bit bigger. So just here, I'm going to make this 1.5, 1.5, and 1.5. Now let's save that. All right, and we'll reload the resource pack. And there we go. Much nicer. And much closer to the actual size. And let's go back to our place bomb function, and let's change that to -1.4 instead. Let's do /reload. Try the function again. And there, that looks a little better. Now let's make it so that if we're standing on the ground and we have a score of 1 or more in caret, meaning we right-clicked, and we're holding our Zelda bomb, then we'll actually run the place bomb command. Okay, so next back to MC_stacker. This time we're going to click execute if entity. We want to check if the player's on the ground, but we'll have to add that in ourselves. Luckily it's pretty quick and easy. And we also want to check and see if our player is holding the Zelda bomb in their hand. So we'll go down here to selected item, edit item, and we'll choose caret and a stick, and the only part we care about is the custom data. And that was bomb:1. Alright, so any player holding the bomb:1 custom data, caret and a stick. So we'll grab this command. So I'll give myself a command block. I'm going to make this command in a command block. And by making it in the command block, I can know for certain that there's no errors in the command. So first I want to change it to execute as any player. And then I want to add some more MBT data. So before I check for a selected item, I'm going to check for on ground :1b. And on ground :1b means being on the ground is true. So execute if any player is standing on the ground and they're holding in their hand a carrot and a stick with the custom data bomb1, and their scores equals carrot equals 1 ... So any player who's holding the correct carrot and a stick, the Zelda bomb, and is standing on the ground and just right-clicked, so therefore has a score of carrot equaling 1 or more. Then at that player, so at s, run function d&d place bomb. Grab this whole command, and I'll put it right here under right-click place mine, and that's what it does. All right, so now we can place our mine with right-click. Let's do File, Save All, back into Minecraft, do /reload, and right-click, and we place a bomb. Perfect. So eventually we'll add a cooldown, but for right now, placing them rapid fire is nice. But let's also announce to the player that they just placed the bomb. That way, if you right-click on accident, you'll at least have a warning before it explodes under your feet. So back in our place bomb function, I'm going to do a tell raw command. So I'm going to do tell raw at s, so tell raw at this player, and then inside curly brackets and inside quotes, I'm going to say the text will be, inside new quotes, bomb placed. And then a comma after that, inside new quotes again, color, :space, new quotes, red. The tell raw command will allow me to write bomb placed in red, so hopefully I'll see it and be able to dodge the explosion. Save it again, /reload, and now right click, bomb placed, bomb placed, bomb placed, perfect. So now we can right click and place our bomb, and our bomb looks cool. Next we need to add a cool fuse. We have to have an explode timer, and have it explode after a certain amount of time. We also want to be able to detect the existence then of this particular armor stand. So we're going to add a little bit more information on the armor stand we create. So back on our place bomb function, we'll go right to the beginning, and we're going to add tags, square brackets, and we're going to create 2 different tags. First we'll do boom because it's funny, and we'll use that later. And we'll do one more we're going to use right now. We want to detect when a new bomb was just placed. So we'll call the second tag new bomb. Ooh, and we'll add a comma after our tags before no gravity. All right, we'll do save all, and now our armor stand will have 2 different tags attached to it every time. So we know that whenever our mines land on the ground or are placed on the ground, we want them to explode after a certain amount of time. So we'll create a scoreboard to hold that time. So we'll do scoreboard objectives add. I'm going to call this the bomb fuse timer, and once again it'll be a dummy variable. All right, so now we have a new scoreboard variable, which we've called bomb fuse timer. And so let's use that right now. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to test for any entity that has a new _bomb tag on it. That means a new bomb was just placed. And then we're going to give that entity a score of bomb fuse timer. We're going to do 60, so 3 seconds. And then we'll immediately remove the tag new bomb from that entity. And then at the bottom of our code, we'll make it so that the bomb fuse timer counts down until it gets to 0. So first we'll do execute as any entity whose tag equals new bomb. Then at s run, scoreboard players set at s, so this entity, bomb fuse timer to 60. So 60 ticks is 3 seconds. Okay, and then right after this, we want to remove the tag new bomb from this entity. That way bomb fuse timer only gets set to 60 once. So I'll copy from here to here, and I'll do run tag at s remove new _bomb. All right, and then lastly, copy this, and I'm going to change this to E for entities. So if any entity has a score of bomb fuse timer being 1 or more, then at that entity we will remove bomb fuse timer 1, therefore making a countdown until it gets to 0. Do file save all, /reload, and let's set the display for the bomb fuse timer and make sure that works. So scoreboard, objective, set display, sidebar, bomb fuse timer, place it, and there we go. And of course, now that it reaches 0, we want it to explode, and we want to destroy the armor stand. We'll first do the explosion, and then we'll destroy the armor stand. So I can actually copy the beginning part of this code, and in our mine explosion, I'm going to check and see if bomb fuse timer equals exactly 0. And then if it does, I can go back to MC Stacker and do /summon, and I'm going to summon a creeper. I'm going to give it a fuse of 0, ignited true, and I'll do an explosion radius of 3. And now, because we put the bomb underground by -1.4 blocks, we're going to raise the summoned creeper by 1.4 blocks. And this creeper is not being set to invisible because I've made all creepers permanently invisible in the resource pack provided. The reason I do that is because in all of my games, you'll notice explosions don't destroy stuff unless I want it to. The way I do that is by using mob griefing. If you create explosions with TNT, it destroys blocks and stuff no matter what. But if you have mob griefing turned off like I do right now, and you summon a creeper, it can destroy items and destroy players and entities, but it won't destroy blocks, which is great for adventure games like Dungeons and Dragons. So now when the bomb fuse timer equals 0, it will summon the creeper, do a cool explosion, do damage. But I want to do one more thing, and I want to do it after it summons the creeper. So when it equals 0, I also want to run kill at S, so kill this armor stand. Alright, so I want to do one more thing. In the timed explosion area, I also want to make there be a little bit of a fuse above the bomb. That way the player can know it's going to be going off soon. Later we'll add a sound effect too, but some people have sounds turned off, and so a nice visual flame on the fuse lets you know this thing is dangerous. Alright, so all I have to do is search for any entity that has a score of 1 or more in bomb fuse timer, so that hasn't exploded yet. And because it's a little different, I'm going to add an extra comment here. This is going to create the fuse flame. And so at any entity that has a score of bomb fuse timer 1 or more, I'm going to run. I can go back to MC Stacker, and this time I want the particle command. I want a single particle of flame. Alright, so we'll copy that. Let's see, so this is actually creating the flame on the armor stand, and so we need to raise this up a good bit. Alright, so I checked a few numbers, and with the size bomb we're using, 2.25 up is quite nice, and also moving it over a tiny bit on this one, because the fuse does bend to the side, so it needs to be off-center ever so slightly to look nice. Alright, let's do File, Save All, back into Minecraft, and I already did /reload. Right click, and that flames on there quite nicely. And it explodes, and perfect. Awesome. So this was the end of part 1. In part 2, we're going to be adding the explosion, and we're also going to be making it so you can throw the bomb. And this should only be a 2-parter, although part 2 may be a little long. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you want more awesome tutorials. Thank you and have a great day.